West Ham Massive are pleased to support Irons Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham and Essex communities. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, Barking and Dagenham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of the video details of this stream on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the West Ham Massive. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and hit the bell icon for notifications and click all and you'll be alerted of any new content. As always, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to discuss the goings on in the Europa League. Group A, match day 2 of 6. Freiburg is where we are visiting at the Europa Park Stadion. And before we get into it, Ben, little disclaimer for people of a nervous disposition. If adult language offends, you might want to go and watch something else, because I can't lie, we may well drop the odd F-bomb here and there. Ben, Freiburg, Bundesliga team. Give me your thoughts on the opposition that we're going to face on Thursday evening. I don't know whether it's your internet that's bottomed out or whether it's mine, but one of us has got a problem. And this is what happens when you're live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. If someone's internet starts fucking around, this is what can happen. As I say, presently, I don't know if it's me. I could be talking to no one, and Ben might be the one that's sitting there. And it might be, oh, it's Ben that's frozen. Okay, that's fine. No problem. It's not me then. So you can hear me, but Ben's internet has bottomed out. Okay, let's have a little look at the comments before. I'm sure Ben will Control-Alt-Delete and swear at it a few times, jump up and down on it, and it'll all sort itself out, I'm sure, in due course. Rob Singleton, hope you are well. Don't know if it has any relevance, but Callum Marshall's name has been added to the West Ham app's full squad with no picture. Evening, by the way. Evening to yourself as well, Mr. Singleton. I saw a comment on the West Ham, the Hammers Chat WhatsApp group. I don't know whether it might just be because he was in the squad for the League Cup game the other night. Benny, you back with us, mate?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there, mate. Signal obviously not good my end.
No, that's one of those things, mate. It is what it is. So yeah, I was just saying that evening, Larry, hope you're well. Freiburg, you've done a little bit of digging about our German opposition on Thursday late afternoon, early evening. Tell me what you've found out about them.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rob, it seems there's been a bit of I was just looking. They finished 5th in the Bundesliga last season, so you know that is no, you know, that's quite a mean feat for a team of the stature of Freiburg. You know, I don't really recall them having too much European exposure previously, but it seems there's a bit. I was looking at the league, and there's a couple of new like teams in there, like Union Berlin were up near the top.
Yeah.
Freiburg were up near the top. Now look, I can't claim to be a Freiburg expert, but I'll tell you what, I was looking, and they finished 9 points ahead of Eintracht Frankfurt, which that's impressive because look, we know about Frankfurt, we know what a good side they are, and if for Freiburg to finish a good 9 points ahead of them, that's quite impressive, which tells me they're a bloody good team.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to sort of, if anybody's interested in the officials for tomorrow, there they are. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you, Ben. I mean, to be honest with you, outside of the big two in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, the other teams probably to a lesser degree. RB Leipzig, I know a little bit about. The rest of them, the likes of the Freiburgs, the Augsburgs, the Bochums and teams like that, Stuttgart.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. They're all pretty much of a muchness, but yeah, I think to finish fifth in the Bundesliga, they're going to be a tough nut to crack, especially at home. I'd imagine that it's going to be quite a hostile atmosphere. I think it's about a 35,000-seater stadium. It's quite sort of like tight, compact onto the pitch. I think it'll be a pretty hostile atmosphere. And don't forget, unless I've got this wrong, we're not going to have any of our fans there, are we? Because obviously what happened in the Conference League final.
To be honest, mate, that totally slipped my mind. But yeah, you're absolutely right because from memory, we was playing up. It was in the final, wasn't it? They was going to take corners, and people kept throwing things on the pitch. Yeah. It was silly behaviour for a final. It just seemed pathetic, really. But unfortunately, that means we can't travel there, and that is a shame. I think it maybe has a minor difference to the team. I think if you're doing a good bit of play and there's just nothing, I'm sure our players are professional enough that it doesn't have a big impact. But I think, if it was like a boxing fight, you at least, when you do a good punch, you at least want to hear a couple of cheers in the background, don't you? Just to spur you on a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bit of a strange one if we do manage to score a goal, the ball hits the back of the net, and probably all you're going to hear is a cacophony of boos.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, isn't it? But let's just have a little quick look, if we may, at the form of the respective teams. So there, you've obviously got on the left, you've got the form of Freiburg. Their last 5 consists of 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Ours is very similar, 3 wins and 2 defeats. So there's not really either of the teams that have a significant form advantage over the other on the face of that, Ben.
No, not at all, mate. I think, we've generally been playing well, and you could, the 2 losses there are, no one probably expected us to get an awful lot, and probably the same with Freiburg, even though, they've been done 4-2 at home against Dortmund. That was probably expected. So the other games, they're unbeaten. You can see that they've gone to Eintracht Frankfurt. They've got a 0-0 draw. So that tells me they're on good form, as are we. Yeah,
absolutely. Little slide there for anyone that's interested. Again, the respective seasons of the 2 teams. Obviously, we're 7th at the minute in the Premier League. 4 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. Whereas at this precise moment in time, Freiburg find themselves in 8th position, 3 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. Again, you'd probably say that on the face of this, in terms of goal scoring threat, it would probably suggest that we have a slight, and I do mean slight, advantage there. Do we possibly give up a little bit of that in the fact that we're the away team? Possibly. But again, looking at the goals conceded per match, I'd say that defensively, that would suggest that we're marginally the stronger of the 2. But what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think if you're rounding up, I think it's that's quite a big deal actually. Something a fellow I follow on Twitter was, he was quite a positive chap. He was talking about how we've scored in every game so far this season, and that's showing that we're scoring 2 goals a game and they're scoring 1 in round numbers, and we're conceding slightly less as well. So I think it's very tight, isn't it? We're 7th in the Premier League, they're 8th in the Bundesliga, but I mean stats wise, we're looking slightly better than they are.
Absolutely.
I'll be intrigued who that is that have done them 5-0.
I believe, I don't know if might be too. Bear with me 2 ticks. Since you asked the question, I will find out. I recognise the badge. I think it's either Kaiserslautern or Stuttgart. I'm not too sure. Just bear with. I'm just going to have a little.
I'm just having a little gander.
Play around. 5-0 defeat.
Oh no, yeah, that's Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Okay, I knew it was one or the other. It was either Stuttgart or Kaiserslautern.
So
I
think
remember if Kaiserslautern was still in the Bundesliga, mind.
That probably, that was at the beginning of September, and then since then they've kind of, actually, they got done 5-0 by Stuttgart, conceded 4 against Dortmund. So I think generally, from what I can see there, against the bigger clubs, they are likely to ship a few in. So we got to try and get at them.
Absolutely. For anyone that's interested as well in a little bit more context, we at the minute, Ben, find ourselves top. It was only 1 game, so there's not really too much you can infer from this, I believe. I mean, we played, I would suggest, the weakest team in the group at home last time. We come away with a 3-1 defeat. Went 1-0 down, a little bit of a shock to the system, but we came back and won that quite handily, as we did in the corresponding fixture 12 months earlier against FCSB. We went 1-0 down, came back to win that 3-1. And we all know what happened at the rest of that particular competition. Looking at that, I mean, do you sort of make us sort of like, do you still think that we're going to make it out of this group? Or do you think there's too much sort of road ahead to look into that one?
No, I think the bookies would probably make us favourites to go through, and I do as well. Freiburg and Olympiacos aren't going to be easy. Back at Topola wasn't easy. You underestimate these teams at your peril, and I think. I think both Freiburg and Olympiacos, especially away from home, are going to be very tough games. And as a result, I think we're going to go pretty strong. I'd say, near enough full strength team. I would suggest Moyes will put out. Okay, well, just before we get into what we suspect the respective, the West Ham 11 will be, I'm not going to get into the Freiburg 11. Forget that for a game of soldiers. Just looking at the players that are going to be missing for this fixture, as far as we're concerned, the only absentee, as far as I am aware, is very likely to be Aaron Cresswell. Yeah. However, on the other side of things, they've got a little bit of a list of absentees. So as far as their injuries are concerned, are Uphoff, Gunter, Kyrie, Rosenfelder, Keitel, and they also have Hoffler suspended. So they've got a little bit of an issue there with numbers, I would suggest. It would seem that way, mate. Yeah, I think touch wood, in comparison to other teams in the Premier League, and obviously tomorrow on Thursday, the injury record so far this season is looking quite good. We're managing to keep the players fit, and whether that's luck or there's something going on in the background, but hopefully that continues and we can keep our fully strength squad. Okay, one last little slide I'm going to get up for the people at home if they want to get their teeth into this particular one. A little bit more information. The 2 star turns, I mean, it's only been 1 game, let's be honest. But as far as the 2 respective teams are concerned, these are the 2 guys that in each corner will be
probably the little bit of stardust, I would suggest. So obviously on the right-hand side, you've got then Mohamed Kudus, who obviously got 2 goals. He eventually got the first goal credited to him, I believe. He came on to good effect. I saw an interesting little stat about him at the game at the weekend. He was only involved for, I believe it was 18 minutes on the pitch, and he had more dribbles than any other player that was involved in that particular fixture for 18 minutes work. I thought, wow, that was an interesting little stat. But he's someone I want to see an awful lot more of. But the other guy there is a gentleman by the name of Vincenzo Grifo. Now he's born in Germany, but he's Italian citizen. So far in the Bundesliga this season, he's had 6 appearances, 1 goal, 3 assists, and in the Europa League, as you can see there, 1 appearance, 1 goal. So this is the guy that I would suggest is going to be the danger man for Freiburg. Would you agree, Ben?
It seems that way, mate. Yeah, Vincenzo Grifo, like you say, 1 goal, 3 assists. Looks lively, and yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on him. He's got a good name for a footballer, Vincenzo Grifo. He sounds like he should be half decent at football.
Yeah.
I would say.
Absolutely. Good evening, Joan. Hope you are well. Okay, let's get into it, Ben. So you're David Moyes. You're looking to go out and get yourself a positive result out there in Freiburg. No West Ham fans to sort of roar you on. So you need to try and go out there and get a strong result nonetheless. Talk to me about your setup, your personnel, your formation. How are you setting this up?
I mean, look, I think I've kind of been influenced on the previous games because I think I've kind of gone, you know, like I say, I think this is going to be a very tough ask. So I think this is pretty much full strength to a certain extent because I stick with the same formation with the sort of 4-2-3-1. But my view is that actually the back 4, I do think we can interchange a fair bit of the back 4 without really reducing the level of the side. So I'm actually pretty much a wholesale change to the back 5.
Interesting.
I think Fabianski, I put this on our WhatsApp group yesterday, is that I do think Areola should be number 1. But Fabianski has not put a foot wrong. So it's quite harsh that he's been dropped. But I think that's just looking to the future. I'm going to go for a back 4 of Thilo Kehrer on the right, Mavropanos and Ogbonna in the middle, and Ben Johnson on the left. I believe, you know, the guy... I want Ben Johnson to be given another chance. Obviously, his contract's running out, but I think he's still got he still can put his stake of claim in the ground. In the middle of the park, I'm going to go fairly strong, and I'm going to say Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, and Pablo Fornals in front of them. And for me, look, Fornals is running out of chances a little bit. You know, he's come in a few times this season and he's not really performing. And I think he really needs a big performance tomorrow, Thursday. Sorry. I'm then going to say Benrahma on the left. At the end of the day, he's flattering to deceive a little bit at the minute, but he got an assist for the equaliser against Bacca Topola. So output wise, he has nicked a few assists, even though he's frustrating. I'm then going to say,
slows us down, Ben.
Well, yeah,
when I think he does. Do you think our attacks slow up a bit?
Well, he's very one-footed. It would seem his first. You know, these inverted wingers. I get that's what they do, but he's always looking to cut inside and have a shot. And look, yeah, that's his game. But I think he's actually quite quick, so he shouldn't slow us down. But I think he does. And then for me, it's a bit of a tough call for this one. I personally would put Kudus out on the other wing, and I would put Mabama up front. I know probably Moyes probably won't, But in which case, if he doesn't, I would say it might be Bowen out wide and Kudus up front.
Okay, interesting.
Because I do genuinely think when I've watched this season, obviously Antonio's our number one striker, and it would seem Moyes' preference, if he's mixing it up, is to put Bowen up top and say Kudus out on the wing. I just don't think it's working from what I've seen. I think Bowen's not as good when he's up front. He's losing his game from out wide, and I think we're losing out wide and we're losing up front because I just don't think he's got the physical presence to hold it up and bring others into play. So I just think, personally, I want to veer away from that tactic, and Bowen is getting into goal scoring positions and scoring goals from out wide. Let's not ruin his game by keep putting him in the middle.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and I think, but in that respect, you either put Kudus up front if he's got the physical presence. I don't know, or you put Mabama up front, who definitely has got the physical presence, albeit he's young and raw. I just don't really see Ings fits the system that we play, so I prefer to just stop persevering with that. At the end of the day, we've bought him. He's on big money, but unless you're playing two up top, which we don't, I just wouldn't bother playing him.
Fair enough. You guys are in the live chat. Also, you guys get your personnel, your formation into the live chat. We'll have a little butchers at that and scrutinise it. How do you think this game's going to play out, more importantly, Ben?
Do you know what? Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of them too well. I'd be happy with a draw. You're going away in Europe. It's probably it's a tough game. I think if we can, bit like not that you can really look into it like this, but we played the game out against Sheffield United in the second half. I'd like it to be a fairly steady game, and if we can win, great. But I think if you can go away from home in Europe and get a draw, you got to be fairly happy with that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. I think if you can win your home games and not lose when you're away from home, you're doing something right. And as I say, I do think that the fact that we won't have whatever away support we would have had, maybe about, 2,000, something like that. I don't know. Roaring the team on and giving them support as and when they needed it. We're not going to have that. So it is going to be a little bit of a strange one. There might be players that have played in that environment. I don't know, but it must be a slight factor, a slight sort of disadvantage that you're going away from home into an unfamiliar territory, and you're not going to have anyone that's sort of like giving you any sort of support either when things are going right or wrong.
Yeah. I agree, mate. I think as the game wears on, I think it all depends a little bit, doesn't it? I think if we've got to try and keep it tight. I think if you concede early doors, that you can get the crowd up. If we can try and keep possession, which we don't tend to do that much, but quieten their crowd down, keep the ball, and if we can nick a goal early, that hopefully can just play the game out in a real sort of professional manner.
Do you think we're going to come away with a positive result, whether that's a hard fought draw or, dare I say, even the victory? Do you think that we've got it in us?
Absolutely, mate. I think you're confident. Like I say, we've give everyone a game this season. We've coming off the back of winning a trophy. We've give City a game. We've give Liverpool a game. We're more than capable of going to Freiburg and giving them a game as well. So we should be confident, and we should be, we're a bit of an experienced European side now, slowly but surely getting there. I'd say more experience in Europe than Freiburg, if I'm honest. So we should be going out there showing them who's boss.
Okay, well, just a few little tidbits. I've got 5 little insights, if you will, into the two teams. So this will be the first ever competitive meeting between Freiburg and West Ham, and the German side's first ever European clash with an English club. The 12th nation Freiburg have faced aside from in UEFA competition. That's fact number 1. Number 2 is we have lost our last 3 visits to German sides in European competition. Once to Borussia Dortmund, which was all the way back in April 1966. We would succumb to a 3-1 defeat there, and twice to Eintracht Frankfurt, a 2-1 reverse in March 1976, and obviously the one slightly more recently in May 2022 when we lost 1-0. Third little factoid for you. Freiburg are unbeaten in all 7 of their UEFA Europa League group stage games since the start of last season, with 5 wins and 2 draws, with their last such loss a 0-2 defeat at home to Sevilla in December 2013. Factoid number 4 for you is that since the start of last season, we have won 15 of our 16 European competition matches, with 1 draw thrown in there, while we have won 5 of our 7 group stage games in the UEFA Europa League overall, with 1 draw and 1 defeat in that particular mix. And the last little factoid for you is that no player created more chances with 7 or provided more assists with 2 on match day 1 of this season's UEFA Europa League than West Ham's James Ward-Prowse. Indeed, the only English player ever to create more chances in a single match in the competition was Mason Mount for Vitesse against Lazio in November 2017 with 8. And that is our little factoids out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. You were impressed, I can tell.
I'm impressed with the word factoid. I just didn't know
like
why the word fact. Why the word fact is you've put an oid on the end. I really don't know.
I remember listening to the Steve Wright in the afternoon show on Radio 2, and he always went with factoids. So it's just sort of like, it's just burned in my brain from that. What can I say? But yeah,
I mean,
okay.
how about you, Rob? What's your view on the team setup?
I don't see that David Moyes is going to tinker with the formation. I think that he's just very sort of set in his ways there. There's a vague possibility he might go to 3/5 at the back, but I think it will probably be a 4-2-3-1. I think the goalkeeper's pretty nailed on. I think it's going to be Fabianski. The rest of it is a little bit more. I think Mavropanos will start. I think Kudus will start. The rest of them, not too sure. I think Souček will very likely start, because I think just David Moyes trusts him. All the sort of like the shenanigans last season, and we know obviously it's pretty clear the reasons why his form bottomed out last season and the season before was because obviously his role changed, and now it's morphed back into what it was before, and he's a more effective player. So I see Souček will probably be involved. The rest of them, it's very difficult to know how David Moyes is going to go. Will he pick Kufau? Will he pick Kehrer? Will he pick Johnson at right back? Left back, again, Johnson comes into the mix. It's really difficult, mate. I wouldn't like to call it. The one thing I will say is I think that the fact that the fans aren't going to be there, I do think is a slight disadvantage lumped onto the fact that we're the away team. I would be quite happy with a dogged and determined 0-0, to be honest with you. I think that if we could get a clean sheet on the back of a clean sheet that came at the weekend, 2 consecutive clean sheets, yes, in different competitions, but who cares? I think that sort of confidence would be a good thing for us to go into the game against Newcastle on the back of a little bit of defensive solidity. I'm reasonably confident. I'm not over sort of looking the fact that they can do us some damage. Absolutely not. I think if we don't approach it correctly, they could leave us without a single point to our name. But I think that if we go there and respect them but don't fear them, and play our game and impose ourselves and show them what we're all about, I think we can go there and we can get something. So I'm gonna go a 0-0.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly good estimate, I would say. Fairly good prediction. And yeah, take the clean sheet, take the point. I'd love us to nick a goal, but I think, like I said, Rob, I think Moyes will probably go fairly full strength, maybe with 3 or 4 switching up. There's definitely not going to be any wholesale changes. But like I say, I think totally agreeing with you. Fab, Mavropanos and Kudos probably will get a start, and maybe Ben Johnson. But other than that, we're going to go fairly strong, I'd imagine.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, bruv?
Is it on the telly?
I bloody hope so. No, it'll be on TNT Sport, wouldn't it? Hang on. In answer to the question, I'll tell you what, if you just bear with me, I will be able to answer that question momentarily. But I'm pretty sure it's on TNT Sport. Yeah, TNT Sport 2.
Yeah. No, listen, the European journey continues. Tough away game in Europe. But like I say, we're just, with every European game, we're just getting more experienced and hopefully better accustomed playing in these, hostile environments. But, for the likes of Ward-Prowse, it's a new venture. So hopefully, just the more they play, the better they'll get, and the more positive results we'll get. So, yeah, just want to see a good performance and hopefully a positive result. But I'll take a draw.
Yep, absolutely. Guys, thanks for joining us. As it says there, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, and if you haven't, why not? Please hit that bell icon for alerts of new content. Don't forget to click all. You will be notified of any new content as and when it is added to the channel. And like I say, tell your friends. And thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. We're just going to sort of like disappear now, and we're going to see you again for the match review, which will probably be Friday, but we've got to obviously chat about that, Ben and I. We'll catch you again soon. Come on, you Irons, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Come on, you Irons. Thanks, guys.
Everywhere we go, Freiburg, West Ham are massive.